Tires nice and cold. It's gonna be the first turn that we're gonna make on some cold drag radials, because I want you to see exactly what you gotta do in order to get these tires nice and warm. Otherwise, it's catastrophic. Shit! See? I can't. See what I'm saying? No grip whatsoever, bro. No grip whatsoever. But that's only because they're drag radials and they're cold. Cold drag radials does not make for good traction. That's something you need to know when you buy these tires. All right, you have to give them some time to warm up. And another thing that you want to be mindful of is the fact that literally on their website for these tires, they tell you do not move the car. Not even don't drive it, not even don't drive it hard. Do not move the car with these tires under anything that's under any temperature under 60 degrees. I said that all wrong. Do not move the car with these tires on if the temperature is below 60 degrees. Unfortunately, it's a winter in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're at about 48. So it's cold temperatures, cold tires on a 980 plus horsepower to the wheel, that is 980 plus to the wheel Dodge Charger Hellcat. So I got a lot of things working against me, but once you get these tires warmed up, that's the most important thing. If you can get them warmed up, you will be just fine. Now, unfortunately, shout out to Atturo. Atturo, some great people over there. Great products, great tires. I've had their AZ850 line. I've had their AZ800 line. I've had all kinds of Atturos on all of my Mopars. My first Mopar, which was my V6, I had the Atturo AZ850s. I didn't need it because it was a V6. I wasn't going anywhere. But I had them on my V6, and I loved them. 275, I think it was 4520s is what I had all the way around. Then when I got my wide body scat pack, I went and got some AZ850s, had no issues with them. And now that I got my big cat, the good people over at Atturo were able to send me out some AZ850DRs, which stands for obviously drag radial. They're stepping up. They're pretty much, you know, going into the high performance. All right, so hold on. Let me do this U-turn. Let me just show you how dangerous these tires are if you don't get them. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you've got to warm these tires up, man. You've got to warm them up. Say if you were to go 315, 35, 20, which is what I'm running in the back, because I've got the AZ850DRs, which is the drag radial. That's their new high performance line. I've got those in the rear, 315, 35, 20s. And then I've got the AZ850s, right, up front, which is 315, 35, 20 as well. So I'm running 315s all the way around. You know what I mean? I'm running 315s all the way around, so it's a square setup. For stock Hellcats, I think these tires would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. 717, 797, 807, I think you would be just fine with these tires. But once you get up to the 900, 1,000, I think you may be able to get a couple passes in these tires when they're brand new and they're fresh. But after that, it may be time to put them up, because I don't know that these tires were necessarily designed for that type of power. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. You got to break them in. You know, you cannot just hop in your car and roll out. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in this car after I've let it sit either overnight or even, you know, for lunch or something like that. And I have to get it warmed up. I have to get those tires warmed up before I can actually start beating on it. And there's nothing scarier than being on the highway doing 60, 70, 80 miles an hour and putting the throttle all the way down and getting sideways, because that has happened to me in this car with these tires, because I didn't allow for proper, you know, the proper warming up ritual, you know, or the routine. Tires might be a little cold, we'll see. Still cold. All right, so boom, I wanted to give you kind of an official conclusion on these tires. Are these good tires? In a nutshell, yes, these are good tires, right? I would rate them personally about a 7.5 out of 10. And the reason that I give them the 7.5 is I'm explaining why. If you're a stock Hellcat or a stock Scat Pack, maybe even a modified Scat Pack, stock Red Eye, stock Super Stock, stock Jailbreak, I think these tires will be perfectly fine for you, right? 500, 600, 700, maybe even low 800s horsepower to the wheels. I think you're fine with these tires. You put on some 315s or 305s, which is the stock size for wide bodies. I think you're going to be perfectly fine with these AZ850DRs, right? Drag radial specific, provided you put them under the best conditions. And I'm going to explain that here in a minute if I didn't already. These are good tires for stock horsepower Hellcats. When you start modifying your car, which is where mine is right now, 1080 to the crank, which is 960, 970 to the wheels, you're going to run into issues. When you get into the high 800s, 900s, 1,000, going to the wheel, 1,000 plus, I think that's where you're pushing the limits of these tires. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to the hard 0 to 60 pulls. Like you want to take it to the strip and you want to get a great launch with little to no spin, right? Little to no burnout. That's when you're going to run into issues with these tires. All right. And I have run into issues with these tires when I've really been putting it down to the max. Now, with that being said, let me explain to you why the conditions aspect is really important as it pertains to these tires. So boom, let's go to the website. Let's go to Atturo. This is the AZ850DRs, right? Caution, literally one of the first things you see. Caution, these are not intended for extended highway use, as expected miles of wear from a softer compound is greatly reduced compared to a standard road tire. So you're not getting 60,000 miles out of these tires. You know what I'm saying? These are not going to be the tires that you're driving from January to August every single day, right? So go ahead and, cross that off the list. What's most importantly here, these tires are not recommended for driving in wet weather conditions because there's a risk of hydroplaning. These are radials. You shouldn't be driving these in wet weather at all, okay? But most importantly, do not move the vehicle in temperatures below 60 degrees. It says do not move it. It don't even say do not drive it. It doesn't even say do not, put it down, take it to the track or the strip. It says don't even move the damn car under 60 degrees. And I believe that to be very true. And unfortunately, in my case, it's been very cold in the South. It's been very cold in North Carolina. The only days that we've been above 60 degrees, it's been raining or it has rained already. So I haven't been able to give these tires the best conditions for a test. Not to mention, I'm right at 980 horsepower to the wheels. So not only am I pushing it as far as the power, capacity is concerned with these tires, but I also haven't put them under the best driving conditions, weather conditions. I haven't driven them in the rain. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. They are very slick. You know what I mean? They are very slick, and it's dangerous to drive these tires in the rain on any car, right? Scat Pack, Hellcat, RT, whatever. But I haven't put them under the best conditions. I haven't been able to take it to the strip because the strip has been closed on the account of the fact that it's, 20 degrees outside every night, 30 degrees outside every night. So the strip's been closed. The test that I've been able to do is what I've shown you. When you warm up the tires, and you have to warm them up, if you intend on playing on them, you have to warm them up. And by warm them up, I mean, doing a little burnout. The bigger the burnout, the better. You get these tires nice and sticky. If you can get them nice and sticky, they're pretty good tires. That's where the 7.5 out of 10 comes into play, right? This is what I said at the beginning of the video. 7.5 out of 10. If you can get them good and sticky, good and, warmed up, they're really good at that. But God forbid, if you think that you're just going to start your car up and take off, you're in a world of hurt. You saw what happened when I did my cold start and I was turning out of my neighborhood. Your boy got sideways. And it was even worse than that when I first put the tires on the car. One day, I think it was like 28 degrees. Once again, that's my fault. I shouldn't be driving a summer drag radial in the heat of winter, on the dead of winter. And all I did was make a left turn. And this was like a slight left. And I think I gave it a little bit of gas. I lied to you not. My car did a complete 360. Like your boy did a complete 5,000 pound SUV, 5,000 pound sedan, did a full 360 in these tires.
with a little bit of gas. And I wasn't in like track mode or anything like that. I was in normal mode, street mode, whatever. Just making a little bit of a left-hand turn, giving it a little bit of gas. And your boy did a complete 360. These are very temperamental types of tires, right? You have to warm them up before you do anything. I mean, even when I was just driving from A to B in these tires, I would, you know, at a stoplight, if I were in front, I would hit the gas real hard just to break loose some traction, just to heat them up a little bit, any way that I can. Because I'm be honest with you guys, it got dangerous a couple times with your boy being on the highway, and I want to go from 60 to 120 with the quickness. I've gotten sideways a couple times. And you know, like I know, there's nothing scarier than getting sideways at 80 miles an hour. You know what I mean, on the highway. Getting sideways at 30 is fine, 40 is fine, 50 is fine, 80 not so much. So you do have to warm these tires up to get them where you want them to be. With that being said, you start pushing the limit of these tires, if you ask me, once you get into the high 800s, 900s, 1,000 to the wheel. You're really pushing it. I mean, even in the summertime, I don't know if these tires would have been able to handle my car on E85 at a drag strip. I think I still would have spun quite a bit. So that's my gripe with the tires, is the fact that they're really good if you got a stock Scat, obviously, even a modified Scat, stock Hellcat, stock Red Eye, stock Jailbreak, I think you're fine, right? Because, you know, with a stock Hellcat, even though it's 717, to the wheel, you're only putting down like, what 630, 640? And even with a Red Eye 797, you're putting down 680, 690, maybe 700. So these tires are okay for stock Cats and Scats. Once you start modifying your car, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,000 plus to the wheel, at that point, it's time to go ahead and put on some serious radials. You know what I mean? Some fat boys. Because there's no tire, there's no drag radial or hybrid drag radial that can handle that type of power. But overall, 7.5 out of 10. I think these are great tires. They look good. They look like a real drag radial type of tire. They really don't burn easily. Like I've kicked up a lot of dirt and dust before I kicked up smoke with these tires. Like the only time that I was able to smoke these tires is when I was trying to smoke them. And I say that to say, like if I'm doing a hard 0 to 60 off of a red light or something, I'd never seen them smoke. Right? You'll hear them spin, you'll feel them spin, right? And you'll hear the sticky, like the debris from the road getting stuck to the tires. Like that's how sticky they get. But they really don't smoke easily unless you try to smoke them. If you do a burnout, that's a different story. But I mean, you know, a hard 0 to 60 type, you know, from a stop, no, they really don't smoke easily. You know, you really have to put your foot in it to get them to smoke. But like I said, they're sticky. When you warm them up, you can literally hear all of the debris hitting the fender well of your car as you're driving it. But like I said, I think that in my particular car, I've been pushing the limits a little bit just because of how much power I'm putting down to the wheels and because of how cold it's been outside. If I had done this test in August, it might have been a slightly different story. I don't know how much of a different story, but slightly different. But the fact that, like I said, even right now, it's, you know, 29 degrees. It's 29 degrees outside. I wouldn't dare take that car out there. You know, I wouldn't dare take that car for a drive with those tires on. 29 degrees, that's literally half of the operating temperature that they recommend. So, you know, great tires, you know. Like I said, if you're stock Cat, stock Scat, modified Scat, I think you're fine. You know, I think you're fine. But once you start pushing the limit of the 800s, 900s, 1,000 plus, it gets a little scary. They said grip is 10.5 out of 10. You know, once again, if you're stock, I think you're fine. But anything above stock, you might be pushing it. Braking is 9 out of 10. I didn't have any issues handling. I didn't really have any issues as long as I got them warmed up. Street performance, no issues. Quiet ride. The only time they ever got loud was when they got sticky and you could literally hear the debris being picked up. Let's see here. Max load, all that stuff. Dual wide channels, extra wide center for stabilization, directional shoulder grips. Average tire rating 4.7 out of 5. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, good tires. And I have the AZ850s for the front. And obviously I've had no issues with the front. I remember having the AZ850s on both my Scat Pack and my V6. And I love the AZ850s, you know. Great daily driving tire, high performance, all that stuff. You get plenty of mileage. Yeah, you should get plenty of mileage out of the AZ850s. These are strictly a street tire, even for wet performance. So, I mean, if you want something to daily drive and you want it to look good, but you also want it to perform pretty well, once again, probably on the stock cat, the AZ850s are good. You know what I'm saying? These are going to get you some great performance as well as longevity as it pertains to kind of the life of the tire. Now, once you get up to the AZ850s, that's when you're supposed to be, you know, putting big horsepower down to these tires, which I truly believe that you can do. It's just one of those things like, you know, after a certain point, I mean, you just got to accept the fact that it's time for legitimate radials. Like, it's time for fat boys all day long. You know, you can't cut corners. You know, me personally, I'm really trying to hold on to my rims because I love my Velgans. I love how they look on my car. I really didn't want to, you know, go to a weld and all that stuff just yet. But at this point, you know, my car is so dangerous right now, I have to go to welds. Like, I've been talking to my guys down in Georgia at Palmer, and they've been telling me, listen, your 0 to 60 is going to be like 3 minutes if you don't put serious, you know, fat welds, drag racing tires on your car. And, you know, that's absolutely right, man. But, you know, you get to a certain point where you just have to start making those types of sacrifices. But for you guys that's got stock scats, these DRs, the AZ850DRs, I think you're going to love them. They're good tires. Nice fat tires, especially the 305, 315s. I went with 315s in the rear for the AZ850s, and then I went with 305s. Or no, I went 315s all the way around, take that back. 315s for the AZ850s, which is what I got up front, street tire. And then I went with 315s in the rear for the AZ850DRs. So yeah, 315s all the way around, just a different tire type, you know. But otherwise, guys, I'm not going to hold you up any longer than I already have. Good tires. You have to warm it up with everything that you do, right? You have to warm it up, and I don't mean necessarily a big burnout, but it's like if you intend on playing and getting active, you will need to do a burnout, and you will need to go ahead and heat them up. If you're just daily driving it, it would behoove you to, you know, kind of work your way into it before you start, you know, getting on the highway and stuff like that, even if you're just daily driving it. But other than that, 7.5 out of 10 is what I would give these tires. So check them out, man. Go to Atturo. Atturo always makes great tires. Always have, always will. Great, reputable tire company. You know what I mean? Even with their off-road line. That's what I'm probably going to put on the T-Rex coming up here next. But great tires. Like I said, they have their limits just like any tire on the market. So take that into consideration. It's been your boy Knockout 360. I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.